In this video, I will be showing you how I designed, carved, and printed this puzzle block lino cut of a Greenland halibut. This piece was made as a commission for someone, and they wanted an 11 by 14 inch print of a Greenland halibut. As I chose my materials to get started, I cut a piece of tracing paper to match the size of the finished print, and then I will trace my piece of lino onto it, leaving space for a large border. I like to plan a border on my prints to make framing easier. This lino is from a brand called Esti. It is my favorite soft cut lino because the firmness of it is right in the middle of a really soft cut lino and a battleship linoleum. It's really easy to carve but holds its shape really well, and it's just my favorite. I like to work on tracing paper because it allows me to adjust my sketch a lot, and it also allows for really easy image transfer onto the lino block. I want to try to use as much of the lino as possible, so I want to angle the fish on this artwork to make it as large as possible, and so it's also more organic within the composition. As I make my sketch, I'm considering how I will be turning this piece into a puzzle block, which is essentially cutting it up into pieces that I can print in a variety of ways. Typically, artists will design puzzle blocks to be able to print different areas with different colors, but for this design, I want to be able to print this lino cut with and without the background so that it is essentially two different artworks in one. In order to make my sketch, I've looked for many reference images to help me add detail to my drawing. The person who commissioned this artwork sent me some photos of their own, and I found some online as well. Because I am also going to transfer this sketch to my lino, I'm making sure that as I'm finalizing my drawing, I'm applying pressure to the pencil to make dark lines, which ensures that I am applying a lot of graphite to the tracing paper so that it will transfer clearly to the lino. Now I'm going to transfer my sketch. Since lino cuts print backwards, I really enjoy using the tracing paper because I can flip it over so that it's pencil side down and easily line it up with the block before I transfer the image. I hold my sketch firmly in place and then use pressure to transfer the sketch. I'm using a wooden spatula, but massaging it with your fingers also works too. Before I lift the sketch off of the lino, I take a careful peek to make sure I didn't miss any sections of the sketch. After my sketch has been transferred, I like to go over it once more with a ballpoint pen so that the pencil doesn't smudge away as I carve it out. I keep my sketch close by to reference it as I do this. Since the tracing paper is translucent, I'm able to see my sketch backwards through it, which now matches how it has been transferred to the lino. This is actually the moment I had decided I was going to go ahead and turn this lino cut into a puzzle block. I had been going back and forth with myself over whether or not to do it, and decided that I just wanted to have the option of a background or just the fish for final versions of the prints. So here I am planning out the background for this lino cut. I used the photo references that were sent to me of the Greenland halibut fish, but I also did a bunch of other research to learn more about their habitat and what can be found in it. I found a handful of images online from some divers in Greenland that showed the sea floor quite well. I also researched what types of seaweeds are found in that part of the ocean, and I learned that Greenland halibut live on or near sand, gravel, or clay bottoms. I ultimately decided that I wanted to do a pebbly gravel texture with rocks, seaweeds, and a few sea critters for this background. As I initially sketch it out, I'm just mapping out where I would like each thing to be placed, thinking about balance within my composition. While I do this sketch, I am carefully considering how I want to cut this lino cut apart to make it into a puzzle block. I plan to cut the piece off behind the tail, and the top and bottom would come apart near the mouth of the fish. I also carefully left a border around the fish where the objects wouldn't get too close to it so that I wouldn't have to deal with cutting them apart when I separate this block into separate pieces. I have a few different types of carving tools: Speedball, Feel, it's from Germany, I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, and FlexCut. I use all of them to create this carving since there are so many different sized blades between them all. My two biggest tips for carving lino cuts are take your time and don't carve too deep. I've learned that really slowing down and taking my time will always result in better prints. I would try to carve a lino cut in one day when I first started learning, and now I will spend a week or more slowly carving my designs. A lot of folks that I'm teaching how to do lino cut for the first time ask me how deep to carve as well, so I've come to realize that this is important to think about as well. When you are carving, you only need to just remove the surface of the block. Any surface that is carved away will show up in your finished prints. The deeper you carve, the more likely your block will have unstable parts, or you will mess up your carving, or you will cut through to the other side, so shallow carving is best. I'm going to start by carving around all of the objects first, as it just feels like a good place to start. I'm also considering the positive and negative space of the design as I do this. I want the fish to be positive space, which means I will be carving away the drawing within the fish, as well as some of the background objects. Other things within the design will be negative space, which means I'm going to preserve my drawing lines and carve away the rest. You should always, always, always try to carve away from your hands. Do I always do this? No, I'm really guilty for carving towards my hands, but I am using really sharp tools on soft cut lino, which doesn't require a lot of force to carve through. Hard battleship linoleum you really need to be extra careful with because you're using more force to carve, and when you slip, the force goes into you slipping, which can be pretty painful to deal with. But this type of lino, I find I get a little more careless and end up carving towards myself more. Just do as I say and not as I do in this case. As I carve, I like to cover my block with a Sharpie, and sometimes smaller areas I will cover with a pen. I do this so that I can more clearly see what I have carved in case I want to do any adjustments. Some artists will pre-stain their blocks with India ink, or they will paint a thin layer of acrylic or gouache on the surface, but this is my preferred method. I like to turn my block a lot as I carve, so I am typically carving away from myself or in a comfortable position and the block changes its direction. It can get awkward to carve in strange directions, which can cause a lot of mistakes. It makes carving safer, more sturdy, and more precise to move the block around rather than to curve your wrist around. A tool I didn't think I would ever find useful for Lino-Cut is an old toothbrush. It's actually really great for brushing away lots of tiny carved bits that get trapped within the carving. I wanted a certain mark created for the details in the center of this brittle star, but I didn't know which blade I wanted to use, so what I'm going to do is use a scrap piece of lino to test out a few things before I carve into my design. I went back to my scrap piece of lino to test out some more textures and mark making. This time I'm trying to figure out what type of marks I want to make with which blades for the gravel bottom. After a bit of experimentation, I decided that the U-gouge tools would make the marks that I like the best for the type of texture I wanted to create. I further experimented by carving with the largest tool and making a few marks randomly, and then moving down to a smaller U-gouge and doing the same, and then finally with my smallest U-gouges at the end to get a good variety of different sizes in the texture that I was creating. After I completed the background, I moved on to carving the details on the fish. Since I want the fish to print mostly as positive space, which will be the black inked spaces, I'm going to be carving away the drawing lines themselves rather than going around them. I'm using my smallest V-gouge tool here, which is only 0.5 millimeters, and this was the first time I've used this tool and I really liked it. It is so tiny and I will be using it in the future. I think it will really help me with my most intricate lino cuts with small details. As I was carving this small stippling texture, the carved pieces were still holding on just a little bit, so instead of continuing to carve and potentially making the carved areas too large or overdone, I used a really fine grit sandpaper to gently detach all of the small pieces that were still holding on. The carving is done, so now I'm going to separate it into the puzzle pieces. I've carefully carved a small border around the entire fish and strategically placed the gravel texture where the cuts I make will go through the design to the edges of the lino so that the line cut through the lino won't show in the final print. I like to use a smooth cardstock paper when printing my lino cuts, but other papers I also really enjoy are Stonehenge and Somerset, as well as Japanese papers. I've trimmed my paper using a ruler and a box cutter to get it to the size I need, and I always prep all of my paper before I start printing. It's best to set yourself up with all the paper you need before you set up your ink. This is my registration sheet for this size of lino cut. I have used a piece of acetate and traced around my piece of paper, and then I set my piece of lino inside that traced area and trace it as well. When I am printing, I can place my lino cut in the center of the paper area and then carefully line up my paper with the tracing of that paper. This method allows me to line up my prints every time. I am reusing a registration sheet that I've made for a previous carving that was a little larger than this one, but it is for the same paper size, so I'm just carefully lining up this carving to be centered within the slightly wider traced area. Here are all of the materials I will use for printing. I am using this block printing ink that Speedball makes, and this is the water-based ink. I also have a palette knife and a brayer. I prefer the soft rubber brayers over the hard rubber ones, and I also have a piece of glass. I just took this piece out of a picture frame that I got at the dollar store. So I'm going to take a big blob of ink out of the jar, and I'm actually going to add a little water to it. This jar of ink arrived a bit thick, and I find that it's really hard to print with it at this viscosity, so I mix in a bit of water. I'm looking for the ink to become a bit more loose, but not so watery that it's no longer tacky. I printed this Lino-Cut in the middle of summer, and I find that my ink dries out so much faster on my glass during the warmer months, so adding a bit of water stops it from drying so fast as well. This is what your ink should sound like when you roll it out. And this is what your ink should look like when you roll it out. It's thin and evenly spread out with just a small amount of texture to it. Every time you see me roll the ink onto the surface of this carving and then my hands leave the frame and come back again, I'm rolling my brayer back into my ink again to pick up just a little bit more. You don't want to apply really thick goopy ink to your carvings, as it will produce a print with filled in details and an overall goopier appearance. You want to build your ink up on your block in thin, even layers to get a nice print. As I put all of the puzzle pieces together for this Lino-Cut, I was a little worried that they might slip around a bit when I went to go print it, so I decided to put a few small pieces of tape underneath it to get the pieces to stay put. You can also tackle this by creating a different type of registration key made from a thin cardboard where a hole is cut out to fit the block inside it, and the cardboard holds everything really firmly in place. Since I am printing this in one color, I don't need to ink each piece separately, so it's okay for this puzzle block to pretend it was never cut apart as I print it fully assembled. As I am printing, you can see that I am taking small peeks at my print, and sometimes I'm adding more ink to the block and then burnishing some more with my wooden spatula. I always like to carefully hold the paper in place with one hand and lift a section with the other to see if everything has printed properly. If it hasn't, sometimes I will roll a little bit more ink onto certain areas, carefully let the paper back down again, and continue to burnish before lifting the paper off entirely. I've had far fewer prints end up in my paper recycling bag by doing it this way. By making this puzzle block, I was able to create a couple of different prints from the same carving. I hope you learned about making puzzle blocks as well as other Lino-Cut carving and printing tips. Please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel to see future videos. All of my work is available on my website, which I have linked in the description box below. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.